holding her scared daughter, Talia, tightly. Billionaire Victoria Sinclair froze when a girl walked over to talk to Aaron Mercer, a quiet black engineer. That frosty morning, the grand lobby of Atlanta's Grand Monarch Hotel witnessed this miracle from a single dad and former Navy SEAL commander. While Victoria wanted a peaceful home for her child, Aaron wanted to keep the building safe with his great engineering skills. But biased managers set him up with unfair fines, ignoring the dangerous structural flaw he just found. Talia's journey to overcome her silent pain and their fight against injustice starts now. With secret help from Drake Development, can Aaron stop the collapse in time and prove his worth to those who look down on him? To understand that frozen moment, we need to go back 1 week. Back to a small apartment on the south side of Atlanta. The alarm clock buzzed at 6:15 in the morning. Aaron Mercer opened his eyes first, before the sound even finished. Old habits from the Navy never leave a man. His body woke up ready, even when his heart felt tired. He pulled the thin blanket over his daughter Chloe's shoulders. She was 8 years old, and she slept like a stone. Aaron walked to the small kitchen. The floor was cold under his bare feet. He did not turn on the heat. Every dollar mattered now. He checked his phone. His bank account showed $312.45. Chloe's private school tuition bill glowed on the screen too. $4,217. 12 days late. Aaron rubbed his jaw. The muscle under his cheek tightened, then released. He said nothing. He never said much. He made breakfast. 2 slices of bread, a thin layer of peanut butter. Chloe woke up smiling anyway. "Daddy, I'm going to get an A on my spelling test," she said, wrapping her small arms around his neck. Aaron held her close. He smelled her strawberry shampoo mixed with the burnt toast smell from the old toaster. "I know you will, baby girl," he said softly. His voice never rose. It never needed to. 5 years ago, Aaron commanded a team of Navy SEALs. He made split-second decisions that saved lives. Back then, men trusted him with their breath, their fear, their final moments in the dark. Now he wore a faded orange work jacket. The elbows were worn thin. No one here knew his past. He kept his medals in a small wooden box under his bed. He never opened it anymore. Some mornings, the old habit still came back. A car backfired once, and his whole body froze. Chloe had asked him about his scars only once. He told her a story about the wind instead. She never asked again. She simply held his hand a little tighter after that day. He drove his old Ford pickup truck to work. The engine coughed twice before it finally started. The radio crackled with morning traffic news. Aaron turned it off and drove in silence instead. Atlanta streets were already busy, full of buses and delivery trucks and tired commuters. He passed St. Jude Elementary on his way, glancing at the empty playground through his window. Chloe loved that school. Her teacher said she was the brightest reader in her whole class. Aaron gripped the wheel a little tighter. He would not let her lose that chance. At the Grand Monarch Hotel, workers were already rushing. A big gala was coming in 6 days. Trucks unloaded flowers and crates of wine near the service entrance around the back. Aaron parked in the employee lot and grabbed his heavy equipment case from the truck bed. Aaron carried his equipment case into the East Wing basement. His scanner beeped once, twice, then went quiet. The basement smelled like wet cement mixed with the sharp bite of fresh paint upstairs. Somewhere overhead, pipes knocked twice, then settled into a low, steady hum. He pressed the device against the thick support wall. The screen showed something wrong. Very wrong. The steel density reading dropped from 92% to under 45% in one small section. Aaron's chest went still. He crouched lower, running his fingers along a crack hidden under fresh paint. The crack stretched almost 8 feet long. Someone had covered it with cheap glue and expensive plaster. He traced the crack, with his finger feeling the rough, jagged edge beneath the paint. His mind raced back to buildings he had studied years ago, structures that failed under strain. He knew what this meant. If enough weight pressed down here, the whole ceiling could fall. A tall man walked up behind him. Thomas Cole, the hotel's chief engineer, crossed his arms tightly. His polished shoes clicked against the concrete, echoing louder than his actual footsteps deserved. "What are you doing down here?" Cole asked, his voice sharp and cold as the basement air. "I found a crack in the load wall," Aaron said calmly. "It's serious. We need to check it now." Cole laughed, a short, dry sound. "You're a maintenance contractor, not a structural engineer. Stick to your job." Aaron did not raise his voice. "I served 11 years in the Navy. I know what a collapse looks like." Cole's eyes narrowed. He looked Aaron up and down, from his worn boots to his faded jacket. "We have 500 guests coming for the gala," Cole said. "I'm not delaying it for a maintenance man's guess." He turned and walked away, his expensive shoes clicking hard against the tile floor. Aaron stood alone in the basement. The old air vent above him rattled softly, like a tired lung. He looked down at his scanner one more time. The red warning light blinked, steady and sure. Something told him this was not over. Not even close. At noon, Aaron sat in his truck outside the hotel. His phone rang. It was Chloe's school. "Mr. Mercer, we need the tuition payment by 5 tomorrow," the woman said, "or Chloe cannot attend class." Her voice was polite but firm, the kind of voice used to saying hard things gently. Aaron closed his eyes. His hand gripped the steering wheel until his knuckles turned pale white. He looked at his weekly paycheck envelope on the seat. $1,850. Not nearly enough. If he pushed this crack story too hard, Cole would cancel his maintenance contract without a second thought. No contract meant no income. No income meant Chloe could lose her school, maybe even their small apartment. Aaron rested his forehead against the wheel. The leather felt cool against his warm skin. A voice inside him, quiet but firm, refused to let this go. Lives mattered more than money. He thought about the men he once led into danger. He never left a threat unspoken. Never. Aaron sat up straight. He would find the right moment. He would not stay silent forever. That afternoon, Aaron walked to a quiet corner of the west lobby to sketch a temporary support plan. Sunlight poured through tall glass windows, warming the marble floor beneath his boots. A small girl approached slowly. She wore a cream-colored sweater dress and carried a stuffed rabbit. She did not speak. She simply watched Aaron's pencil move across the paper, her blue eyes wide and still. Aaron looked up and smiled, the kind of smile that asked nothing in return. He offered her a blue mechanical pencil from his shirt pocket. She took it without a sound. The girl drew in the corner of his paper. A small house with a cracked roof. Beside the house, she drew a man in an orange jacket holding the roof up with both hands. Aaron's throat tightened. He understood, without a single word, exactly what she was trying to say. The pencil in her small fingers moved, with more confidence than her silence ever suggested. "That's a good drawing," he whispered. "You have a strong hand for someone so small." The girl looked up at him. Her lips parted slightly, but no sound came out. Not yet. Talia had not spoken a single word in over a year, not since a car accident last spring. Doctors called it selective silence. Her body was safe. Her voice, somehow, still felt trapped inside. Victoria had tried therapists, specialists, even a trip to Paris. Nothing brought her daughter's voice back. No one in that lobby knew this small, quiet girl carried a locked door inside her chest. No one except, perhaps, the man in the orange jacket kneeling beside her right now. A hotel staff member rushed over, eyes wide with panic. "Sir, please step away from Miss Sinclair's daughter." Aaron stood up slowly, his hands raised in a calm and easy gesture. "Just drawing pictures. Nothing more." The staff member pulled the girl gently by the hand, glancing back at Aaron with suspicion. Aaron watched them walk away. Something about that silent girl stayed with him, heavy in his chest. He folded the drawing carefully and placed it inside his jacket pocket, close to his heart. He would not walk away from this hotel now. Not the crack, not the girl, not any of it. At 4:30, Aaron walked into the top floor office of Richard Vance, the hotel's general manager. He placed a 15-page report on the glass desk, along with photos of the hidden crack. The East Wing Ballroom is not safe for the gala, Aaron said. I'm asking you to delay the event. Vance leaned back in his leather chair. His silver watch caught the light as he waved a hand. Do you understand how much money is riding on Saturday night? Vance asked, his voice rising with anger. He picked up the report and tore it cleanly in half, dropping the pieces onto the floor. Get out of my hotel, Vance said. Touch this contract again, and you'll never work in Atlanta. Aaron did not flinch. His jaw stayed tight, but his voice remained low and steady. I'll be sending this report to the city building department, Aaron said. Whether you like it or not. Vance's face turned red, the veins along his neck pushing hard against his skin. You think anyone will believe a maintenance worker over me? Vance said, leaning across his desk. I built this hotel's reputation for 20 years. You've been here for 20 days. Aaron kept his eyes steady. The wall doesn't care about reputations. It only cares about weight. Vance slammed his palm on the desk. The sound echoed off the tall glass windows. You're finished here, Cole added from the doorway, his arms crossed like a locked gate. Pack your tools and leave the property. Security will walk you out within the hour. Aaron walked out without another word. He had just burned every bridge behind him. He knew what came next would not be easy, but some bridges deserved to burn. The next morning, a lawyer's letter arrived at Aaron's apartment. $45,000 in damage claims. The hotel accused him of spreading false information to harm their business and their reputation. Aaron read the letter twice at his kitchen table, his coffee going cold beside him. Chloe watched him from across the table, sensing something heavy in the quiet room. Is everything okay, Daddy? She asked, pushing her cereal bowl gently to the side. Aaron folded the letter and placed it face down. Everything's going to be fine, baby girl. He did not believe his own words completely, but he needed her to believe them. Later that day, Victoria Sinclair walked through the lobby with two assistants trailing close behind her. She was the founder of Sinclair Holdings, a woman worth 9 figures, with a stare that could freeze water. Vance greeted her warmly, guiding her toward the gala planning table with practiced charm. That contractor is trying to extort us, Vance said quietly, gesturing toward a photo of Aaron on his tablet. Victoria's eyes narrowed slightly. Keep him away from my daughter, she said, her voice flat and final. Just then, Talia tugged at her mother's sleeve, pointing toward Aaron across the busy lobby. Victoria hesitated for one small second, her fingers pausing over her phone screen. Then she looked away, pulled by the weight of a billion-dollar investment deal waiting upstairs. Aaron watched them from across the room. He said nothing. He simply nodded once and walked on. That night, at 11:15, Aaron returned to the hotel through a side maintenance door. His old training took over. He moved past the security cameras with quiet practice steps. He reached the base of support column number 4, deep in the restricted foundation area. The crack had grown wider since morning. He could see it clearly under his small flashlight. His fingers worked quickly, steady from years of handling delicate equipment under pressure. Aaron attached a small vibration sensor to the column, syncing it directly to his phone. Somewhere above him, a low groan echoed through the concrete, like the building was breathing in pain. His heart beat faster, but his hand stayed perfectly still. Years of training controlled every movement. He needed real numbers. Numbers no one could argue with. Numbers that could not be torn in half. The sensor blinked green, then began sending data. Aaron allowed himself one small breath of relief. Suddenly, bright flashlights hit his face from both sides. For security guards stepped out of the shadows. Their boots echoed against the concrete floor, sharp and heavy, closing the small space around him. Thomas Cole walked forward, smiling in the dark. Well, breaking and entering now, are we? I knew you'd come back, Cole said. Desperate men always make one last foolish mistake. I'm collecting safety data, Aaron said calmly. Data that could save lives during Saturday's event. Cole grabbed Aaron's phone and threw it hard onto the concrete floor, stomping it under his heel. 2 police officers arrived minutes later, their radios crackling through the cold basement air. They placed handcuffs on Aaron's wrists. The metal felt sharp and freezing against his skin. Behind him, Cole laughed quietly, with the guards, satisfied his trap had worked perfectly. That quiet laughter stung Aaron more than the cold metal ever could. He did not resist. He simply closed his eyes and thought of Chloe's sleeping face. The police car ride felt long, the streetlights sliding past the window in slow, silent streaks. At the station, they took his fingerprints, his photo, and the shoelaces from his boots. He sat in a small holding cell, the concrete wall cold against his back. A single bulb buzzed overhead, flickering every few seconds like a tired, dying heartbeat. Aaron thought about the sensor data, safely stored in the cloud, waiting to be found. Somewhere out there, the truth still existed. He just needed someone to look for it. The next morning, Chloe stood at the police station, tears streaming down her small round cheeks. She saw her father in an orange jumpsuit, sitting behind thick glass, unable to hold her hand. Aaron pressed his palm against the glass. Chloe pressed hers back, matching his fingers exactly. Neither of them said a word. The silence between them said everything that mattered. Aaron's chest ached, with a pain sharper than any wound he carried from his years overseas. He thought of the crack in the wall, still growing, still hidden, still waiting to fall. A police officer led Chloe away gently, promising her a juice box from the vending machine. Aaron watched his daughter disappear around the corner, her small shoulders shaking with quiet sobs. He sat back down on the cold metal bench, staring at his own reflection in the glass. Would anyone believe him now? A man in handcuffs, accused of sabotage and extortion? Back at the Sinclair estate, Talia refused to eat her dinner that evening. The dining room stayed silent, except for the soft clink of silverware against fine china. She sat at the table, staring at the television, where a news report played quietly. The screen showed Aaron Mercer being led away in handcuffs outside the Grand Monarch Hotel. Talia's small hands began to shake. Her stuffed rabbit fell from her lap onto the floor. Then, for the first time in over a year, she opened her mouth and screamed. "Save the orange jacket man. Please, Mommy. Save him." Victoria dropped her wine glass. It shattered against the marble floor, but she did not look down. She stared at her daughter, whose voice she had not heard since the accident last spring. Tears filled Victoria's eyes instantly. Her hands trembled as she knelt down beside Talia. "Say again, baby," Victoria whispered. "Please say it again." "He's a good man," Talia said, her voice shaky but clear. "He drew with me. He listened." Victoria pulled her daughter into her arms, holding her tighter than she had ever held anything. In that single moment, every business deal in the world suddenly felt small and meaningless. Victoria thought of every meeting she had rushed through, every bedtime story she had missed. She thought of Vance's confident smile and how easily she had trusted his careless words. Something cold settled in her stomach. She had almost let an innocent man take the blame. She picked up her phone with shaking fingers and called her lawyer immediately. "Get me to the Fulton County Police Station," Victoria said. "Right now. This cannot wait." By 10 the next morning, Victoria arrived at the station, with her lawyer close behind her. She posted $100,000 in bail, her pen moving fast across the paperwork. The station's fluorescent lights hummed overhead as officers processed the paperwork slowly. When Aaron walked out, free but exhausted, Victoria stood waiting near the entrance doors. "Tell me the truth," she said, looking straight into his tired eyes. "All of it." Aaron did not raise his voice or defend himself with anger. He simply told her the facts. He explained the crack, the sensor, the data automatically saved to his cloud storage overnight. The number showed column 4 had already passed 35% beyond its safe weight limit. She scrolled through the numbers slowly, her lawyer instincts fighting against rising fear. "This is real," she whispered. "This isn't a bluff. This is a warning." Victoria's face went pale as she read the report on his phone screen. "The gala is tonight," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. In 8 hours. Aaron nodded slowly. Then we don't have much time left to stop it. Victoria called Vance immediately, her voice sharp and commanding through the phone speaker. Cancel the gala, she said. There's a structural failure. I have the data right here. Vance refused, his voice tight with panic. We already have sponsors here. We can't cancel now. Victoria sent an independent inspection team anyway, but hotel security blocked them at the front entrance. He's still angry about being fired, Cole told Vance. This is his revenge, nothing more. Vance wanted to believe him. Believing him was easier than canceling a $1 million night. Cole convinced Vance the sensor data was fake, a trick from a bitter former contractor. By 7:30 that evening, 520 guests filled the Grand East Ballroom. Crystal chandeliers sparkled above silk tablecloths. A string quartet played softly near the marble stage. Waiters moved between tables, carrying trays of champagne that caught the golden light overhead. Vance stood near the entrance, shaking hands, laughing loudly at every small joke told to him. He believed, deep down, that money could fix any problem, even a cracking foundation. No one noticed the small flakes of white dust drifting down from the ceiling near column 4. Aaron arrived at the hotel with Victoria, pushing past security guards who tried to stop him. He looked up at the ceiling, watching the dust fall faster with every passing minute. We're out of time, he said quietly. This isn't hours anymore. This is minutes. At 8:15, a sound like a gunshot cracked through the ballroom near column 4. Chunks of concrete began falling onto the dance floor, crashing loud against fine china. The crowd screamed and surged toward the main doors, pushing and stumbling over each other. Richard Vance and Thomas Cole ran toward the staff exit, leaving their guests behind completely. Aaron climbed onto the small stage and grabbed the microphone from a stunned musician's hand. Everyone, listen to my voice, he said, calm and clear, cutting through the chaos like a blade. His command training took over instantly. His voice carried steady authority through the panicked room. Form 3 lines. Move toward the west exit. Do not run. Walk with me. Something about his voice made people stop screaming and start listening almost against their will. Aaron guided the crowd row by row, checking each exit path he had studied days earlier. He carried Talia in his arms, shielding her small body as debris crashed down behind them. A waiter dropped his tray, glasses shattering across the marble floor like sudden applause. Someone screamed near the back exit, where the crowd had bunched into a tight, frightened knot. Aaron's voice cut through it again, steady as a heartbeat. Keep walking. You're almost there. Victoria stayed close, helping an elderly woman who had fallen near the shattered dessert table. 45 seconds after the last guest stepped outside, the ceiling near column 4 gave way completely. A massive crash shook the ground, sending a cloud of dust rolling out the broken doors. Not a single person inside that ballroom was hurt. Not one. Sirens wailed in the distance, growing louder as fire trucks turned onto the street. Outside, guests stood in stunned silence, staring back at the hotel through the cold night air. Victoria held Talia close, both of them covered in fine gray dust, both of them shaking. You saved us, Victoria said to Aaron, her voice breaking, with emotion she could no longer hide. Aaron simply nodded, his chest rising and falling heavy from the effort of the last few minutes. 2 weeks later, police arrested Richard Vance and Thomas Cole at the airport, trying to flee the city. They faced serious charges for hiding safety violations and falsely accusing an innocent man. Investigators found years of ignored inspection reports buried deep inside Cole's old filing cabinet. Vance's own signature appeared on dozens of documents he had approved without ever reading them. His careless habit, signing papers without a glance, became the very evidence that convicted him. News cameras crowded outside the courthouse, but Aaron did not attend a single interview. Reporters called his phone all week, asking about the crash, the arrest, the rescue. He let each call go to voicemail. He had nothing left to prove to strangers. He simply picked Chloe up from school that day, holding her small hand tightly in his. "Everyone at school says you're a hero," Chloe told him, skipping beside him on the sidewalk. Aaron smiled softly. "I'm just your dad, sweetheart. That's the only title that matters to me." Chloe squeezed his hand tighter, humming a small tune under her breath as they walked home. For the first time in months, Aaron felt the tight knot in his chest finally loosen. Victoria organized a press conference of her own, standing tall in front of city reporters. Cameras flashed as she stepped up to the podium, her voice calm, but full of purpose. "Two men chose profit over safety," she said. "One man chose to save 500 lives instead." The room fell silent, reporters scribbling quickly across their notepads. "That man deserves recognition, not suspicion," Victoria continued. "Today, I want to correct that mistake." She announced that Sinclair Holdings would partner with Drake Development on their newest downtown project. The landmark East contract, worth $120 million, went directly to Aaron's small company. Mercer Structural Solutions, once a two-person operation, now had the biggest contract of its life. Aaron hired 3 new engineers. That same month, all veterans looking for a second chance. He kept his old orange work jacket hanging by the office door, a quiet reminder of where he started. Every new hire heard the same story on their first day, told plainly, without any pride. "Numbers don't lie," Aaron always said. Neither should the people reading them. Reporters asked Victoria why she trusted a man once accused of sabotage and extortion. "Because my daughter spoke again, because of him," Victoria said simply. "That tells me everything." The room stayed quiet for a moment, cameras clicking softly, no one asking a follow-up question. A few weeks after that, Aaron and Chloe met Victoria and Talia at a small restaurant. Sunlight poured through the windows, warming the wooden table where the 4 of them sat together. Talia laughed loudly, handing Chloe a small toy from her bag, her voice clear and bright. Chloe and Talia built a small tower out of sugar packets, giggling every time it fell. "Thank you," Victoria said softly to Aaron, watching their daughters play near the window. "For seeing her when no one else did. For seeing what really mattered." Aaron smiled, the same quiet smile he always wore, warm but never boastful. "She saw me too," he said. "That's rare enough in this world." Victoria looked at him for a long moment, something soft and new forming behind her eyes. "Maybe we could do this again sometime," she said. "The 4 of us." Aaron nodded. "Chloe would like that. She doesn't have many friends who understand quiet." "Neither does Talia," Victoria said, smiling as she watched the 2 girls giggle by the window. Outside the window, Piedmont Park glowed golden under the afternoon sun, full of quiet promise. Aaron Mercer never asked for recognition. He never needed applause or a crowd's approval. He simply did what was right, one quiet step at a time, until the truth stood on its own. Chloe grew taller that year, and Talia's voice grew steadier with every passing week. 2 families, once strangers in a busy lobby, now share holidays and quiet Sunday dinners. And in the end, it was enough to change everything.